What is up, guys? Eric here from Real Film Reviews, bringing you another movie review, this time for the new Mark Wahlberg film, Patriots Day. Patriots Day is directed by Peter Berg, who recently did Deepwater Horizon and also did Lone Survivor. This film stars Mark Wahlberg, John Goodman, Kevin Bacon, and J.K. Simmons, and tells the story of the Boston bombings that happened back in 2013 at the finish line of the Boston Marathon. The movie does a good job of telling this true story. It shows it in a realistic fashion. It doesn't try to hide any of the violence or the real cruelty that took place that day. And I think that that's a strong point of the film, because if it held back, it sort of hurts the meaning of the film. It feels like it's trying to coddle everyone instead of just showing them this is what these people did and this is why they were punished the way that they were punished. And I think that it did that, and it was important that it did that, and because of that it improved the film overall. It also shows a lot of the behind the scenes of what was happening after the bombings up until the capture of the people that committed the crime, and I enjoyed that because similar to Sully, which I think is how this movie is, it's sort of a story that maybe doesn't deserve a film, at least not as soon as it got one, but after watching it I do feel like I learned some new things about what happened and that it was an interesting story to be told on screen. The core cast does a pretty solid job. I don't think any of them really impressed me that much. Mark Wahlberg was really enjoyable. I've decided at this point in my life that I'm just a fan of Mark Wahlberg, and I think that he's pretty decent, especially if he's playing somebody from Boston. And I enjoyed him, I enjoyed John Goodman, and I think that for the most part the core cast members did a good job. However, there's a lot of side cast members in this film, and some of them were a little on the weaker side maybe. They didn't really impress me. Some of them were straight up bad, but that didn't really hurt the story that much because they didn't have that much screen time. Peter Berg's direction of this film I think was handled really well. He did a mix of sort of cinematic filming with crane shots and long pans and everything, but then he also would sort of do documentary style filming when there were more chaotic sequences going on. And that sounds very amateur and arbitrary, but in this movie, since it's based on a real story, I think it worked a lot better than it being just sort of like, yeah, that's what anyone would do, because these were real people that were injured in these events and real people that were working to find the people that did this. And I think that because of that, the mix actually stood out more and made more sense and also had a bigger impact on it. Now, as I said earlier, there's a lot of side characters in this film, and that's because they show this story from a lot of different perspectives in Boston, and that really helps really ingrain how much these bombings affected the people of this city, but also how strong the people of this city are. The film also did something that I really did not expect it to do, and that's that it showed the perspective of the two bombers. It showed them the day of the bombing in prep, them planting the bombs, their plan after the bombs had exploded, what eventually happened to them, and it was really interesting to see what it was like for them that day. And regardless of how true to life it was or anything like that, it was interesting that it was included in the film. The movie, though, does have some issues. The one big issue, of course, is going to be the script. The script is real cheesy sometimes, it's real cliche. Peter Berg has to really get his super patriotic stuff thrown in there, and that's okay to an extent, but it always ends up going just a little farther than it needs to for me, and we get some dumb speech at some point that feels super lame, and like I said before, it feels really cliche, and it kind of just hurts the movie because it's kind of just like, that wasn't necessary. You're basically saying what we're supposed to be feeling, but everyone already was feeling that. The one small thing that I want to pick out that happens in Patriots Day is something that happens in a lot of movies. I just feel like Patriots Day has given me a chance to talk about it, and that's when characters play video games in movies. In Patriots Day, there's a scene where there's a bunch of dudes playing Call of Duty Black Ops 2, and their friend comes in and they're having a conversation about whatever, and then their friend tells the guy to flank him from behind the barn. But we see the screen, and I've played a lot of video games, I've played a lot of Call of Duty. This channel actually started out as a video game channel, but there's no barn on the map they're playing on. Why is it so difficult for people that have a multi-million-dollar budget for a film to have one guy on their crew that maybe has played a few hours of Call of Duty to come in and be like, hey, just say this so that way it comes off realistic? Because it's just dumb. And for people that play video games, it's almost insulting because it's just like a generic line thrown in there so all the old people in the audience understand that he's playing a video game and that this is what he should be doing. But for people that actually play those games, it's sort of like, hey, we don't really care. Like, this is just like a dumb thing that they're doing on the side for this conversation, and it's just a little thing that bugs me every time it happens in movies. I'm gonna give Patriots Day a B-. I think that this movie tells a true story in a pretty solid manner, But like I said, it's similar to Sully in that I don't know if this really deserved a movie, or if it deserved a movie this soon, at least. And I think that Peter Berg has slowly improved from Lone Survivor. Lone Survivor was a little too much, and I think that he got it right with Deepwater Horizon, but I also think that was a more interesting story. And I think this movie, he kind of fell back a little bit, but it was still a solid film, and if you really enjoy it and you want to learn more about this story, I would say go check it out. Well guys, as always, I'm Eric. If you enjoyed this review, please do like, subscribe, comment down below what you thought of Patriots Day, share everything we do here on Real Film Reviews, and I hope to see you guys later.